The next day, things took a troublesome turn. Shops in the capital refused to accept Alliance notes, leaving people lining up at banks to swap their money. As citizens waited, they noticed Alliance banks shutting down, one after the other. This fueled their suspicion that the rumors might be true, that these notes were now nothing more than worthless scraps of paper. The scene then shifts to Gator updating Gettin. Despite their efforts, they hadn't yet uncovered where the fake bills were coming from. However, they did manage to identify the mastermind, Yukime from the White Tower in Lawless City. A carriage from the Snow Fox Corporation was used to transport the exchanged gold coins. Gettin, upon hearing this, initially considered it might be a coincidence. He recalls knowing that Yukime had been involved in prostitution. Suddenly, the sound of bells reaches him, and he realizes they belong to the same bell he had given to Yukime. Urgently, he instructs Gator to stop the carriage. We then see Alpha informing Gamma that Shadow no longer needs her because he has reached heights only he can attain. Gamma tells Alpha about the unstoppable fall of the major corporate alliance. They've closed all their storefronts, escalating unrest among citizens. Riots are breaking out at bank branches, with customers demanding money exchanges. If things continue this way, the bank vault will soon be empty, and they won't survive the credit collapse. Gamma wishes they had something to reassure the marketplace, like giant stacks of gold coins. However, Alpha explains that it doesn't matter anymore. Shadow intentionally put counterfeit bills into circulation, causing the credit collapse. This was his plan, and he has abandoned them. Gamma insists that Shadow would never leave them, but Alpha reveals that they failed to meet his expectations. Despite providing the best environment and knowledge, they couldn't live up to what he wanted. Gamma finds it hard to believe, and Alpha recalls promising to give her life to Shadow. Niu then enters the scene, noticing that both Alpha and Gamma are feeling down. She provides a report, revealing evidence that Gettin was leading an operation for the cult of Diablo. He conspired to circulate counterfeit bills, aiming to bankrupt Mitsugoshi. Gamma is surprised that Gettin was willing to destroy himself along with them, even without knowing their connection with Shadow Garden. During their economic wars, Shadow saw the truth and took action on his own. That's when Alpha realizes that Shadow orchestrated the entire situation. He changed his name, severed ties with them, and initiated the circulation of counterfeit bills before the cult could execute their plan. Alpha, however, is puzzled about Shadow's motives. Beta joins the conversation, mentioning that Zeta managed to decipher a message from Shadow. As Alpha reads the message, tears fill her eyes. In the message, Shadow apologizes for appearing as a traitor and explains that he has a plan. To execute it, he had to forsake his former name, print counterfeit bills with an accomplice, and store the recovered gold coins in the facility where they had previously rescued his sister. Although he acknowledges that they might resent him for this, he believes it was for the best. Beta is astonished by Shadow's actions, and Gamma thinks they should have known. She points out that Shadow identified the cult's plot and took preemptive action by circulating counterfeit bills before the cult could make a move. He amassed significant funds, ensuring Mitsugoshi's survival during the credit collapse and effectively removing the alliance from the cult's support. Beta realizes that Shadow's deeper understanding of credit creation made all of this possible. Alpha adds that Shadow concealed his identity to sever his connection with them and hide the link between Mitsugoshi and Shadow Garden. He strategically placed his counterfeit printing operation in a familiar location, even marking the vault's location. Beta suggests that Shadow was fooling his allies before fooling his enemy, and now they just need to collect the gold. Gamma wonders about Delta, and to their joy, Delta returns. They are relieved to see Delta safe and sound. Delta shares that she went on a secret mission, withholding details as it was classified. Alpha then realizes that Shadow entrusted Delta with a specific task. The scene shifts to John Smith, who has been busy dealing with people trying to uncover the secret of the counterfeit bills. He's unfazed by this, knowing that Yukime is not motivated by money, meaning he gets to keep it all for himself. When he returns to the hideout where the money is stored, he discovers that it has vanished. The girls working for Yukime inform him that they've lost contact with her, suspecting Gettin's involvement. John, enraged that Gettin might have taken his money, vows to retrieve what is precious to him. The story then transitions to Gan fighting Yukime, and it's evident that Yukime has brought Gettin to his knees. Gettin regrets not having the power Yukime possesses to prevent others from taking what belongs to them. Despite Gettin's past actions, Yukime acknowledges that he saved their village and her life. She hopes the man she once knew is still within him. As Yukime attempts to leave, bidding farewell to Gettin, he uses a tear of Diablo to attack her from behind, enhancing his strength and restoring his eyesight. However, before Gettin can deliver a finishing blow, John intervenes. Gettin is surprised that John willingly came to be killed by him. John clarifies that he came to retrieve something precious, and they engage in a fight. Yukime contemplates John's compassion, as he called her precious. John successfully defeats Getten, who, in his final moments, mentions that John's power is similar to the one who took his eyesight. Getten expresses regret for not having this power earlier to prevent others from taking from him. He points to Yukime, indicating that he leaves his treasure to John before passing away. John acknowledges that his treasure is now in good hands. He saves the injured Yukime from falling and heals her wounds. Yukime realizes that John was the one who saved her from Getten years ago and expresses gratitude through tears. In a reflective moment, John believes that Getten pointed at the snow, suggesting that the coins are buried underneath it. The story shifts to a group of Dark Knights led by Iris, conducting a raid on the Alliance. They discover that the Alliance's vault is empty. Iris, suspecting foul play, orders the arrest of Garter for disrupting the marketplace. Meanwhile, Yukime returns to her associates, who are relieved to see her unharmed. They inquire about Smith, and she informs them that he has gone to perform a proper burial. Observing the empty vault, Yukime receives a communication from Alpha, claiming to be from Shadow Garden. Alpha deduces from Yukime's reaction that John did not inform her of the recent events. Alpha, knowledgeable about Getten and Yukime, reveals that the Alliance has been destroyed. However, they managed to recover what they needed before the royal investigation began. Alpha hands Yukime a letter from Getten, acknowledging that its messy handwriting is characteristic of him. Alpha explains the influence of the Cult of Diablos, a group exploiting people's weaknesses and ensnaring them in darkness. They are actively fighting against the cult, with Shadow leading the charge. Mitsugoshi is revealed as a front for Shadow Garden, and Alpha confesses that Shadow has been orchestrating events from the beginning. Alpha expresses apologies for collecting all the gold coins, clarifying that it's crucial for their survival amid the imminent credit collapse. Additionally, they have taken control of all the Alliance's outlets, rendering their market position obsolete. Alpha reveals that this was Shadow's overarching plan, and she extends an invitation for Yukime to join their ranks. Despite the complex situation, Yukime has no intention of treating Shadow as a traitor. Alpha proposes that Yukime becomes a part of their organization, realizing that Alpha envisions her as an asset in their collective efforts. Yukime accepts this proposal, recognizing the necessity of joining forces with Shadow Garden. The scene shifts to Shadow, working alongside Delta, digging holes in the snow to uncover the money supposedly buried underneath. Despite their efforts, Shadow finds nothing. He notices a lack of communication from Yukime, and Mitsugoshi seems to be doing well. Delta questions whether Shadow will follow through on their plans after finishing the holes. In response, Shadow assures Delta that he will do what he can within his ability. He reveals his intention to embark on a journey, and urges Delta to consider what she wants, promising to discuss it upon his return. Shadow contemplates that the others might be angry with him for his actions, expecting they'll need time to cool off. He plans to return casually at the end of winter, without apologizing, to frustrate them into giving up. As Shadow leaves, Delta makes a discovery while digging and attempts to share it with Shadow, but he has already departed. This brings an end to our episode.